We're going to continue our study in Romans this morning. We have this week, and we'll finish up next week. But today we are going to cover chapter 14, verses 1 through chapter 15, verse 7. So a larger section here today. And so if you have your Bibles, I encourage you to turn to Romans 14. If you didn't bring your Bible, feel free to grab one of the black Bibles underneath the seat in front of you. And if you've never been in Romans 14 before, if you grab a small print version, we'll be on page 948. And if you grab a large print version, we'll be on page 1127. And for those of you who are worshiping from the balcony, feel free to pause this video to go run and grab the Bible and follow along with us in Romans chapter 14, or I'll give you a little bit of a turn to get it. So as you are turning to Romans 14, two of the most famous Christian pastors in England are Charles Spurgeon and Joseph Parker. And these two were actually really close friends for a season. They even preached in one another's pulpits. However, they had a disagreement. Spurgeon accused Parker of being unspiritual because he attended theater production, which was widely forbidden at the time. Parker, in turn, condemned Spurgeon's habit of smoking cigars. Both men justified their actions and parted ways. And situations like these are all too common among Christians. If we were to poll everyone in this church, or any church for that matter, we would probably come up with a variety of responses to the following questions. Should Christians completely abstain from alcohol or drink only in moderation? Should you wear your best clothes on Sundays, or is any attire okay? Is it okay to listen to secular music, or should all of us only listen to Christian music? Should Christians avoid tattoos, or only tattoos that convey an anti-Christian message? Which version of the Bible is best? Which type of music should be sung in a church? Is smoking okay or not? Is playing cards okay or not? Is it okay to dance or not? So how do we maintain unity in a church where there is such diversity of belief on these matters? How do we love one another well while holding such strong convictions on these matters? My guess is that most of you, as you answer those questions, you would say, well, clearly it's this. How do we not either end up splitting the church in two because we hold to those beliefs so strongly, or we hold them so loosely that we end up walking in disobedience to the Lord? Well, thankfully, today's passage in Romans is going to address this very matter. How do we live in unity, in a spirit of unity, even when we disagree widely on these matters? So again, let's read from Romans chapter 14 through chapter 15, verse 7 on this topic. All right, beginning in verse 1. As for the one who is weak in faith, welcome, but not to quarrel over opinions. One person believes he may eat anything, while the weak person eats only vegetables. Let not the one who eats despise the one who abstains, and let not the one who abstains pass judgment on the one who eats, for God is welcome. Who are you to pass judgment on the servant of another? It is before his own master that he stands or falls. And he will be upheld, for the Lord is able to make him stand. One person esteems one day as better than another, while another esteems all days alike. Each one should be fully convinced of his own honor. The one who observes the day observes it in honor of the Lord. The one who eats in honor of the Lord, since he gives thanks to God, while the one who abstains in honor of the Lord and gives thanks to God. For none of us lives for himself, none of us dies for himself. For if we live to the Lord, and if we die to the Lord. So then, whether we live or whether we die, we are the Lord's. For to this end Christ died and lived again, that he might be both the Lord of the dead and of the living. Why do you pass judgment on your brother? Or you, why do you despise your brother? For we will all stand before the judgment seat of God. For it is written, as I live, says the Lord, every knee shall bow to me, and every tongue shall confess to God. So then each of us is given an account of himself to God. Therefore let us not pass judgment on one another any longer, but rather decide never to put stumbling block or hindrance in the way of a brother. I know and am persuaded, O Lord Jesus, that nothing is unclean in itself, but is unclean for anyone who thinks it unclean. For if your brother is grieved by what you eat, you are no longer walking in love. By what you eat, do not destroy the one for whom Christ died. So do not let what you regard as good be spoken of as evil. For the kingdom of God is not a matter of eating and drinking, but of righteousness, and peace, and joy in the Holy Spirit. Whoever thus serves Christ is acceptable to God and approved by him. So then let us pursue what makes for peace for mutual uplift. Do not, for the sake of food, destroy the work of God. Everything is indeed clean, but it is wrong for anyone to make another stumble by what he eats. It is good not to eat meat or drink wine or do anything that causes your brother to stumble. The faith that you have, keep between yourself and God. Blessed is the one who has no reason to pass judgment on himself or what he approves. But whoever has doubts is condemned if he eats, because it is eating. His eating is not for faith. For whatever does not proceed from faith is sin. We who are strong have an obligation to bear with the failings of the weak and not to please ourselves. Let each of us please his neighbor for his good to build him up. For Christ did not please himself, but as it is written, reproaches of those who reproached you fell on me. For whatever was written in former days was written for our instruction, that through endurance and through the encouragement of the Scriptures we might have hope. May the God of endurance and encouragement grant you to live in such harmony with one another, in accord with Christ Jesus, that together you may, with one voice, glorify the God and Father of our Lord Jesus Christ. Therefore, welcome one another as Christ has welcomed you with the glory of God. The word of the Lord. The first thing we need to know is what is going on here in this passage. So let me give you a bit of context. Paul is writing to the church in Rome, and as we've seen throughout Romans, this church is a mix of former Jews who will now put their trust in Jesus, and former Gentiles or non-Jews who will put their trust in Jesus. And so these two groups are mixed in, and there are some Jews or former Jews who are now Jewish Christians, who have carried some of their Jewish practices into the Christian faith. So some are becoming vegetarians, because if you remember, Jews were to abstain from certain kinds of meat and certain meats that were prepared in a certain way. And so the Jews who were living in Rome are concerned that some meat may not be kosher or prepared in a Jewish manner. And so they're abstaining from it because they don't want to eat an unclean food. In addition, they're insisting that everyone adhere to the Sabbath practices of rest and worship on one particular day. And more than likely, that is now switched from Saturday to Sunday. So they're saying, hey, everyone on Sunday needs to rest completely. You can't work, you need to worship, you need to pray, you need to rest, you need to honor the Lord on Sunday. On the other side are Gentile Christians. And Gentile Christians, they're eating whatever meat is put on their plate. It doesn't matter if it's pork, beef, fish, they're eating it, all right? There's probably a lot of you that are like, yeah, I can be a Gentile Christian right there. But these Gentiles are eating anything. And these Gentiles are arguing that every day is meant to be lived in worship of God. The Sunday is no more important than Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, Saturday, because every day is meant to be lived in worship of this God that we know. And so they're treating all days equally. That it's good to rest, it is good to worship, it is good to pray, it is good to spend time with the Lord. And so these two groups are in the same church, and they're opposing one another on these matters. And these two groups we see are labeled weak and strong. The weak referring to the Jewish Christians, and the strong referring to the Gentile Christians. Now, let me pause here, because it is really important for us to understand what Paul means here by weak and strong. Paul is not saying, hey, the weak are the immature ones in their faith, and the strong are the ones who know Christ and have grown in time, because what that is going to lead to is all of us assuming down the road as we get into the application that the weak's responsibility is to grow in maturity in Christ and become a strong person on these matters. That is not what Paul is saying here. Rather, he's saying that the Jewish Christians are weak in their assurance. Their assurance that the Christian faith permits them to eat a variety of meats and to worship on several different days. Whereas the Gentile Christians are strong in their assurance that the Christian faith allows them to eat whatever meat and treat every day as equally important. And so now you have these two opposing groups, and they're within the same church, and they're each insisting that the other has to adhere to their beliefs on the matter. After all, how can you have a potluck in church if half the church says, hey, everything needs to be vegetarian or bread or fruits, and the other half is saying, no, we're bringing the meat, and we're eating meat, and we're eating meat in front of you. All right? Or how can you have a worship gathering where one half is saying, no, this day, this hour that we gather here at church, it is the primary hour, and you need to be here during this hour, and you need to put all of your heart into this hour because Sunday is a holy day. Sunday is for rest. So you shouldn't go home and work when you're done here because Sunday is for worship. And you have other people who say, no, my entire life is in worship to God. So I may go home and I may work on Sunday, but that's because I rest on Monday or I rest on Tuesday. But you can be assured that I will worship on Monday, I will worship God on Tuesday, I will worship God on Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, and Sabbath. You can see how that causes huge conflict in the church. And it would seem that the easy solution is just to split the church, right? Hey, it's best. We can't agree on this, and so why don't the Jewish Christians, you form your own church, and the Gentile Christians, you form your own church, and then everyone will be at peace, because we'll live according to what we feel like is true on this matter. That's what Jen and I often do with our kids and toys, and what many of you probably do. Okay, we can't agree to share, we can't agree to play nice, and so we'll just take these blocks and we'll divide them into two piles, and you build what you want, and you build what you want. And we'll take these crayons, and we'll divide, and you get the orange and the red and the green, and you get the blue and the purple and the black, all right? But that's not what Paul does. But we see that's the temptation. We see that in our first point, that disagreement over non-essential matters threatens the unity and witness of the church. Once again, disagreement over non-essential matters threatens the unity and witness of the church. Now, I want to quickly clarify that when I say non-essential, I don't say they don't matter. All right? These are important matters in the faith. They just don't matter as much as other issues. As we're going to see as we study this passage more, a church can still have unity on several important matters and differ on these, so long as they agree on the major ones. And it's just an example of some of the major ones. Is God triune? Is Jesus God? How do we become saved? What does baptism mean? Will Jesus come back again? We need to have agreement on those to function as a church, to have a mission. Just imagine if we were to partner with CMA and Pearl City Disciples next week for this Bible lesson, but we differ on what is meant by salvation. One of us may get up and say, hey, if you don't have a relationship with Jesus, you need to work really, 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 really hard. And if you do enough good things, then you'll be able to achieve salvation. Well, the next person is going to get up and they're going to say, hey, just ignore everything that person just said, because the real way to know Jesus is to put your faith in Him, to put your trust that Jesus has done the work on the cross for you. The latter will be true, by the way, just in case you want. But you see how differing on a really important doctrine, a major doctrine, essential doctrine, causes us to not be able to do ministry together. So what we're talking about here is the non-essentials, things that we can still disagree on, but still maintain unity in the church. And the moment that we begin insisting that others believe just as we believe on these matters, the more we're going to see that our church is going to argue, and disagree, and fight, and divide. And the more we are potentially going to shrink as well. Not just because the church will trend towards this split, but because when people come for the first time, we're going to say, okay, you have to believe that you're saved through Jesus Christ alone. You have to believe that God is a triune God. You have to believe that you have to dress up on Sunday. You have to believe that you can't drink, you can't dance, you can't smoke, you can't get tattoos. And as you're going through those, people are just going to be like, man, I was there for 3 of those 4, but not 4. Or I was there for 2, but not 4. I was there for 0, but not 4. We're just going to narrow and narrow and narrow our witness. Divide and divide and divide our church. There's a poem that I found that makes light of this type of thing. It reads, it says, believe as I believe, no more, no less. That I am right and no one else confess. Feel as I feel, think only as I think. Eat what I eat and drink what I drink. Look as I look, do always as I do. Then and only then will I fellowship. So as we approach these issues, such as the use of alcohol and smoking, and dress code on Sunday, and tattoos, and whether someone can listen to non-Christian music or watch non-Christian movies and TV shows, whether sports are good or bad, whether we should use our extra money for pleasure or for charity alone, and many others. If our approach with these matters is I can only have fellowship with people who agree exactly like I do, if they think exactly like I do, I can only serve, I can only sit next to, I can only be a part of the church of people who think exactly like me on this, we are going to be very lonely. And there's going to be many empty seats in this church. And even those who sit in those seats, we are going to ultimately drive them away. So now, what is Paul's recommended solution? How do we have fellowship with one another when we disagree on these matters? Look with me at verses 7 through 9 in chapter 14. Paul writes, "For none of us lives to himself, and none of us dies to himself. For if we live to the Lord, and if we die, we die to the Lord. So then whether we live or whether we die, we are the Lord's. For to this end Christ died and lived again, that he might be Lord, both of the dead and of the living." Paul is saying here that as we live according to our beliefs on these non-essentials, that it is not about insisting on our unbelief. Not about going to, hey, I can have fellowship with you. I recognize we believe differently on these things. And that's okay, because eventually you're going to believe what I believe, and then we'll be good. Right? That's not what Paul is saying. That's not how we approach. That's not how we live in unity with others, or we force others, or we require that others believe what we believe on these matters. Paul says we no longer live in freedom to ourselves. We no longer die to certain desires according to ourselves. Rather, we participate in freedoms and we die to freedoms as if we are the Lord's. Skip with me all the way down to chapter 15, verse 3. Paul here writes, "For Christ did not please himself, but as it is written, the reproaches of those who reproached you fell on him." Though Jesus was living in God's glory in heaven, in perfect holiness, in fullness of joy, he left all of that behind to save people like you. He came down to earth, he endured persecution and suffering and rejection, even death on the cross. And instead of insisting on his own way through it all, this is what we see from Jesus in Scripture. He said, "My food is to do the will of him who sent me. For I have come down from heaven, not to do my own will, but the will of him who sent me." In Philippians 2, we see that Christ Jesus, who though he was in the form of God, did not count equality with God a thing to be grasped, but emptied himself, taking the form of a servant. Being born in the likeness of men, being found in human form, he humbled himself by becoming obedient to the point of death, even death on the cross. We see in 1 Corinthians 13 that the love of God, the love that we celebrate, the love that we seek to model, does not insist on its own way. And so from these verses we see that Jesus did not insist on pleasing himself, but rather sought to serve others. Again, Jesus did not insist on pleasing himself, but rather sought to serve others. Church, can you imagine where you and I would be today if Jesus had insisted on pleasing himself? I can guarantee you we wouldn't be here. We wouldn't be here today worshiping him, giving him thanks. We wouldn't have salvation. My guess is we probably wouldn't know many of the people in this room because we have a lot of differences among ourselves. And the one unifying factor is that we know Christ. And we love Christ. We're pursuing Jesus and seeking to serve him. Much of the joy that we have would be gone. For those who have been suffering in this season that this virus has, all hope would be gone. We wouldn't know the love of God that we do now and the peace that comes from being his children. And so praise God that Jesus did not insist on his own freedoms, that he did not seek to please himself. Rather, he set those aside and became a servant. A servant to God, a servant to us, and even a servant to death on the cross. And so, church, that's our example. That's our model. As we claim to be followers of Jesus, those are the footsteps that we are supposed to walk. And as we think through these questions, do I have freedom in Christ to drink or to not drink? To watch a movie or not? To play cards or not? To participate in sports or not? To dress up for church or not? To spend my income on leisure or not? Can I get a tattoo or not? The answer to all of those questions, according to Scripture, is yes. We have freedom to do those things. But rather than insisting on our own freedoms, we should be looking to Jesus, who did not insist on his own way, but rather sought to serve others. That's not saying that we can't do those things, but just the person that we need to seek to honor first is the Lord, and not our own desires. So now, how do we practically follow Christ's model and not insisting on our own way, but rather seeking to serve Christ in these non-essential matters? Paul gives us both a general application and several specific ones. And so this is very similar to last week when we saw that we are supposed to love others. One of the ways that we love others, that's the general command. That we do not commit adultery, we do not steal, we do not bear false witness against our neighbor. So those commands are the more specific ones. So Paul's going to give the general overarching command and then give some specific application points as well. So in chapter 15, verses 5 through 7, Paul writes, "May the God of endurance and encouragement grant you to live in such harmony with one another, in accord with Christ Jesus, that together you may with one voice glorify the God and Father of our Lord Jesus Christ. Therefore welcome one another as Christ has welcomed you for the glory of God." Here Paul gives two basic commands: that we are to live in harmony or unity with one another, and to welcome one another. And both of these see roots in the gospel. That Jesus sought to serve others instead of insisting on his own way. And that's how we are united with him, through faith in him, through faith in what he has done for us. And secondly, we are to welcome one another as Christ has welcomed us. Now think about that for a little bit. Think about our condition when Jesus Christ welcomed us. We were living in sin. We were living in disobedience. And Jesus still welcomed us. He still served us. He still made his love known to us. He didn't seek to divide. He didn't seek to walk away and say, we disagree on what is sin and what is not. So I'll just move on to the next person. So Jesus, even though we were living in sin, welcomed us. Now think about these matters we're talking about today. Because we're not talking about sin and non-sin issues. We're talking about different ways that we can live for Christ. What do? We make those such big issues that we divide, and we don't welcome others. So Jesus chose to welcome us when we are living in sin, and we seek to divide over non-sin issues. So Paul says, welcome others into the kingdom. Welcome them as Christ has welcomed you. Therefore, the general principle for us is this: that we are to live in unity and welcome others just as Christ has served and welcomed us. Once again, we are to live in unity and welcome others just as Christ has served and welcomed us. So again, that's the general principle. Paul's going to give us now several different applications or subpoints as to how we can specifically live this out. How we can specifically live in unity and welcome others. So first, Paul says that we are to accept that there is freedom in non-essentials. Notice that Paul does not go to great lengths in this passage to say, all right, some of you think you can eat meat and some of you can't. Some of you think that you have to worship on Sunday and some of you can't. All right, here's 5 points to show you that you can eat meat, and here's 5 points to show you that you can worship God any other day of the week. Paul doesn't do that. In fact, on the issue of whether one can eat meat or not, Paul actually argues throughout. Both situations are a way of obeying the Lord. Both. And he also argues, depending on our attitude, both positions can actually be a way of sinning against the Lord. So Paul doesn't say, hey, here's right and here's wrong. And on all those matters that we've talked about so far, there isn't a right and a wrong. It's not here's light, here's darkness. it's not that defined. So we need to see that if someone abstains from alcohol and avoids tattoos and smokes and avoids playing cards and chooses to dress up nice for church here on Sunday, and they avoid TV shows and secular music and spend all their extra money on charitable causes, that they are in obedience to the Lord. And we also need to see that if someone drinks alcohol in moderation, given that they're of age, that if they get tattoos that don't profane God, that if they smoke and play cards and dress casual on Sunday, if they watch TV shows and movies and listen to country music and spend some of their extra income on leisure things, they too are in obedience to God. There is freedom in Christ on these matters. And once again, before some of you may take this out of context, realize again, we're talking about non-essential matters. This is not include matters upon which God is absolutely clear on. There is a yes or a no. Whether God is Christ, whether Jesus is God, whether Jesus is the only way to salvation, whether Jesus is coming back again, whether salvation is by grace alone, through faith alone, in Christ alone. That's not something that in our church or in any church or any matter that people should be like, we're just going to disagree on these matters. And so you need to love where I am and I'll love where you are. No. We like to put those in terms of those are closed-handed issues. We are willing to fight for those. There's a reason why before people become members of this church, we say, here's our core doctrines, here's our essential doctrines. They're in our bylaws, they're on our website. You need to adhere to this because otherwise we are not going to have unity here in this church. But there is freedom in these non-essential doctrines. Secondly, we need to show respect to those with whom we disagree on these matters. In verse 10, Paul asks, why do you pass judgment on your brother? Or why do you despise one another? Paul knows that our tendency, if we take a more strict approach on these matters, is that we tend to judge those who don't. So just to give an example, I don't drink alcohol, so I'll judge those who do as if they are living in sin. I don't have tattoos, so I'll judge those who get tattoos as if they are living in sin. I dress in my Sunday best in order to worship God, so I'm going to judge those who don't dress in their Sunday best. Or I only watch Christian shows and movies and listen to Christian music, so I'm going to judge those who watch and listen to things outside of that. But similarly, Paul also knows the tendency for those who live in more freedom on those matters to look upon with disdain at those who live more strictly. To have the attitude of, you don't think that we can play cards? You don't think that we can drink alcohol in moderation? You don't think we can get tattoos? You don't think I can listen to country music? That's so much. And maybe you'll grow up someday and you'll realize that you have more freedom on these matters. I really hope you will. Paul says neither one of those attitudes is Christ. If we live in judgment, if we live in disdain, neither one of those are Christ. Jesus sought to love, serve, and to welcome others, especially those he disagreed. Thirdly, Paul encourages us to live according to the direction that God gives us. Paul says in verse 14, chapter 14, he says, I know and am persuaded in the Lord Jesus that nothing is unclean in itself, but it is unclean for anyone who thinks it is unclean. But he says, so Paul says that in his mind, it is okay for Christians to eat anything. Alright? So for those of you who have a strictly meat diet, you can breathe easy, alright? It's okay for you to eat meat. But he says that some foods are unclean for anyone who is convinced they're unclean. In verse 23, he says, whoever has doubts is condemned if he eats, because the eating is not from faith. For whatever does not proceed from faith is sin. In other words, Paul recognizes that on these matters, people have different consciousnesses as to what they think is right and what they think is wrong. Paul says, whatever the Lord is putting upon your heart is how you need to live. If you have a clean conscience towards getting a tattoo, it is okay for you to get a tattoo, or multiple tattoos for that. If you are not sure about it, if you are on your way to the tattoo parlor and you are feeling guilty about it, that you're going to be disobeying the Lord if you get that tattoo, you should avoid getting the tattoo because it will be a sin for you to get. If you have a clean conscience when you drink alcohol in moderation, it's okay, it's permissible for you to drink, given you're 21. If you feel guilty while drinking alcohol, then it is a sin for you to be consuming that drink. If you feel freedom as you dress casually for worship here on Sunday, it is permissible for you to dress casually. If you come here and you dress casually, but the whole time you're thinking, man, I just really feel like I'm disobeying the Lord, I'm not really worshiping Him, I'm not giving Him my best, then it is a sin for you to come here and dress casually. Paul encourages us to live according to the direction that God gives us on these matters. And that brings us to the fourth point. We are not to let our freedoms cause others to stumble. We see this in verse 13. Paul says, therefore, let's not pass judgment on one another any longer, but rather decide never to put a stumbling block or hindrance in the way of the Lord. And again in verse 21, he writes, it is good not to eat meat or drink wine or do anything that causes your brother to stumble. Rather, verse 29 gives the positive encouragement. It says, then let us pursue what makes for peace and mutual love. If we are living out our freedoms in a way that causes others to sin, then we are not ourselves. Therefore, if we believe it is permitted for us to drink alcohol, we have to have people into our home, invite them for a meal. And there is someone among us that is not sure on that. They feel like, I really feel like I need to abstain from alcohol. There could be a variety of reasons. We serve alcohol at that event, and the person says, everyone else around me is drinking, and so I don't want to be different, so I'm going to drink too. Paul says that the host of the party, even though they think it is permissible, even though they believe it is permissible, has sinned. Because you've caused your brother or your sister in Christ to go against what they believe is true. So Paul says, even if we are more lenient in our beliefs about what is permitted, we need to guard what we watch, we need to guard what we eat, what we drink, what we listen to, what we wear, and what we do around other believers, just in case there is another believer among us who believes more strictly on some of these matters. And Paul puts the onus on those who live more in freedom. So it's not on those who believe more strictly for us to go to them and just say, you just need to grow up. You just need to live more in freedom. You need to change your mind on this matter. Everyone else believes differently than you, so you need to adjust. And Paul says, it is on the person who lives more in freedom to restrict their freedoms in order to serve the brother or sister. I know many of you who do this well on the matter of alcohol. That you believe it is permissible for you to drink in moderation, but there are times when you have other church members over to your house and you just choose not to serve alcohol, period, just in case there is someone among you who believes more strictly on this. That's a way for you to love your brother and sister in Christ, and I encourage you to continue to do that. Finally, Paul says we are not to let non-essential requirements deter unbelievers from following Jesus. This is more of an argument from the rest of the Scripture rather than this passage. But if we are truly following the heart of Christ, we will not put a stumbling block in front of those who do not know Jesus. We will welcome others into the kingdom before we ensure that they follow our religious restrictions or our religious beliefs. Let me illustrate this real quick, and then I'll wrap things up. I know that there are several of you in this church who do have the belief that Sunday is the day that we are to give the Lord our best. We are to worship God, and that includes what we wear. So you dress nicer, you dress in suits, you dress in and whatever Sunday best you have, whether even if that's slacks and a dress shirt. All right? And although I believe that we have more freedom in attire for the first 5 years that I've been here, I have generally dressed to those standards. I wore slacks, I wore dress shoes, I wore button-down shirts and tucked them in, wore a belt. There was a season when I wore a suit jacket and a tie. And the reason for that is I did not want to put a stumbling block in place for people. That if throughout the entire service you were thinking, all I can think about is, Pastor's really dressed down, he's really casual, he's not giving his best. And you would ignore whatever took place on that Sunday. I would rather dress nice and have the focus be on what God is doing in you and what God is doing in His church and what God wants to do in His Word than to live in the freedom of whatever I want. However, during this coronavirus outbreak, I was having a conversation with a gentleman in our church, and he was sharing with me the very first Sunday that he came. And he knew people in this church. So it wasn't completely new. But he sat there, and he drove across Mulberry, across Briar, and back. And he drove across, and back. And he drove across, and back 3 different times. Trying to work up the courage to come to our church. And he finally pulled in, and he parked. And the first couple that he saw get out of the vehicle, the man that was dressed in a full-blown suit and tie, and the woman was in dress shoes and a really nice dress. And his first thought was, I don't belong here. And he was dressed in his Sunday best. He had slacks on, and a belt, and nice shoes, and a polo shirt. So it wasn't like he was just full-blown casual. But he still thought, I don't know. Now, thankfully, the end story is this man came, put his trust in Jesus, got baptized, is now a member of our church. But how many others would never step foot in our church? How many others, because of restrictions on what we wear, because of restrictions on what we sing, because of restrictions that we have in our mind about alcohol, and playing cards, and dancing, or tattoos, or any other of these non-essential matters, because we insist that others have to adhere to these things, are we keeping from coming to our church? Are we keeping from hearing the message of the gospel? We're keeping from putting their faith and trust in Jesus. So yes, I do want to love and serve and lay down my rights in order to serve those of you who believe we should dress up more on Sunday as a way of offering God our best. But I will not put a stumbling block between those who want to come and worship here and hear the message of the gospel and feel like they have to dress up more than what they can afford, or they have to dress up more than what they are comfortable with in order to hear that message. And I pray that we would be a church that if you feel like you need to dress up to worship God, you would do it, you would do it with joy, you would come here, you would be able to focus on God and give Him your best. And I pray that you would be a church that if you believe you could dress more casually, that you would come here and you would dress more casually, and you feel that freedom to be able to worship God and give Him your best. And I pray that you would be a church that if you have tattoos or no tattoos, you would be able to feel comfortable coming here and worshiping God. If you feel like you can drink in moderation, you can. You feel comfortable coming here and worshiping God. And if you feel like you have to listen to Christian music, or it's okay to listen to non-Christian music from time to time, you would feel that freedom and you would come here and worship God. I feel that on all these matters, I want us to be a church that can live in the freedom of whatever God has put on us. We can have unity, we can have joy. And our focus when we come here is not on those who disagree with us, but rather on God who is unified us in His great love.
Amen.
I mentioned Charles Spurgeon in my introduction, his desire to insist on his freedom to smoke cigars. And just real quickly, I found this really good. His justification for this was that you did it in moderation. And someone asked him, well, what is moderation for you? He said, no more than 2 at a time. So we see here that Charles Spurgeon smoked a lot of cigars in his life. Years later, he was walking down the street. He saw a sign in the store that said, "We sell the cigars that Charles Spurgeon smokes." And seeing that this habit may cause someone else to stumble, Charles Spurgeon decided at that moment to quit smoking altogether. Never did. As we consider these non-essential matters, may we be people who likewise show Christ's unity and love to others, even those that we disagree with. Let's pray. Father, we thank you. We thank you for your Son, Jesus, and your desire to welcome us, to save us, to love us. We thank you for his willingness to set aside his personal desires and become obedient to you. To become a servant to you, to become a servant on the cross for us, to become a servant even to death. Father, we pray that that Spirit that is alive in us, that is working in us, would do a greater work than what we have seen up to this point. That we be a church that is focused on living in unity with one another, even when we disagree. Father, we would see that there are many ways to live in freedom on these matters. Father, that we would see that it is okay to disagree with others on these matters. That we wouldn't be people who judge others, we wouldn't be people who show disdain to others. Father, we pray that each one of us would have the courage to live according to whatever you put on our hearts according to these matters. That we would cave to peer pressure, we would cave to whatever you do, Father, we would live according to what you put on our hearts. Father, we pray that for those of us who live more in freedom, that we be willing to restrict our freedoms, to restrict our freedoms in order to love our brothers and sisters who will be different. Father, finally, we pray that as a church that we won't let any one of these non-essential doctrines be a stumbling block for those who want to hear the good news of Jesus Christ. We pray that anyone who will walk through these doors will feel like they belong, will feel like they're alone, will feel like they can hear the gospel, know the gospel, receive the gospel, and lay faith. Because, Father, that's your attitude. It's your mindset. You welcome sinners. You welcome sinners like us. And it is your desire to reach and to welcome many sinners who live in our community. Father, may we be a church that partners with you. In Jesus' name we pray.
Please stand.